very good afternoon to you. Many thanks for joining us here on the KTN News Desk on this 12th day of October 2016. Always a pleasure to have you tuned in. My name is Akisa Wandera. Our sign language interpreter is Lensa Owino. Now, High Court Judge Isaac Lenaola has this morning appeared before the Judicial Service Commission to be interviewed for the position of Supreme Court Judge. Born in the year 1967 in Maralal, Samburu District, Lenaola previously served as a commissioner in the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, and he was also a commissioner in the very commission before he joined the bench in 2003. He has also served as a commissioner in the Judicial Service Commission. The JSC will also interview John Kipkoech Chebi, a senior lecturer and dean of students in the School of Law at the Moi University in Eldoret for the same position. Here is part of this morning's proceedings.
After radical surgery and those who came post-radical surgery. And one can understand why. Here is a bloodbath in the judiciary. Some of the most senior judges have been taken out. And then suddenly you have a young crop of judges coming into the judiciary. There was necessarily a human conflict around that question. But over time, judges have sort of gelled. From where I sit and what I see in Milimani, it does not matter so much when you came in. It's really about how you can relate with each other as judges. For me, it is crucially important that the colloquia continue. It is crucially important that the training of judges continues. If you allow judges to sit in their own corners as individuals and do not relate with others in a less formal setting, we shall not have the gelling of judges that we require. And that is why, if you look at the training sessions that we tried to do at KMJA, we broke the barriers. So we did not have the old barriers where only Court of Appeal judges get trained with Court of Appeal judges, High Court judges with High Court judges, magistrates with magistrates. We mixed them, and I can tell you that even Court of Appeal judges at the time, who are much more senior than us, found a lot of value in sitting with us over tea, over dinner, and just discuss. So for me, the answer lies in that.
I wish you well, Judge.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nguchu.
Judge, I want to follow up with one of the responses that you gave to Professor Ojienda. You talked about moving the Supreme Court. You're young, so you want to move the Supreme Court from where we are now to something else. I want you to describe to us, where are we now? And where is it that you see the Supreme Court going in terms of your contribution?
Where we are now, the image of the Supreme Court of Kenya is the image that was seen on national television before Chief Justice Mutunga left. A court that was not together, judges were not collegiate, and one moment, I think, will always remain in the minds of Kenyans. The last day of Chief Justice Mutunga's time is when they are moving out of court with Justice Ojwang and Justice Ibrahim, and there was that little moment of confusion. When one judge is going to move out, another is staying back, another is pushing the other. That is the image which Kenyans are holding of that court. The other thing is that for us judges, the court has not been given the opportunity or has not given itself the opportunity to settle the law on any serious question. If you look at the jurisprudence of the Supreme Court, there are three issues I've addressed. One, jurisdiction of the court. Two, election petitions. And three, the advisory opinions. Now, for a court of such seriousness,
all right, from Supreme Court, let's head over to Nyanza, where Nyando Member of Parliament Fred Outa has been released on 300,000 shilling bond after he was charged for incitement. Now, he was arrested on Tuesday during the chaos at the Ahero Girls Secondary School, and students went on rampage demanding the reinstatement of their principal, Sarah Odipo, who had been interdicted. Now, the prosecution asked the court to order the Member of Parliament's detention for 3 days as they completed investigations. Let us now cross over to Kisumu, where our reporter Rashid Ronald has been following up this latest development. A very good afternoon to you, Rashid. Many thanks for joining us on NewsDesk. And what exactly is the situation after the Nyando Member of Parliament has been released?
Nyando MP Fred Outa, at least he was released today after spending a night in custody, almost 12 hours in custody, Kisumu. At least he tested what he later tell people that was a very, very, very bad experience as a legislator. And I'm privileged to have him here with me, the MP Fred Outa. I want to start. Please, can you tell us the experience you had spending the night in police custody?
I just want to, first of all, thank the people of Kisumu County and especially the Nyando people for standing with me and all my lawyers and my colleagues from Parliament since Monday. And I want to say that my experience in the cell was really good. And it is not like where I had been before. This is not my first time. I've been a visitor of the state quite a bit. But the one of yesterday, the cells are really clean. And I want to thank the judiciary, the judicial service of what they are doing to improve these cell places in the Republic of Kenya. And my night was really good. I had a good discussion with the mates that I found inside. One thing that disappoints me is that I just realized that there was a number of minors cases that flogged the cells, and yet they could be released on bond or they could be set free to go home. And it's a notice that the Judicial Service Commission should take note.
Your experience in the cells or in custody notwithstanding, let's now talk about Ahero girls. Of course, you are arrested because of what is happening in Ahero girls. And as the area MP, what is it that is happening that we don't know?
Where there's fire or where there's smoke, there is fire. And I want to state categorically, my interest now is to make sure that there is total peace at Ahero girls because we want to prepare our students for the national exams. And anything can come later, next year. If there's any transfer that needed to be done, not now. And I want to stand firm that my interest would supersede anything else but for the student to pass the exam for the exam this year. And I don't want to touch because this matter is in court. But I want to tell you that it was really a bad experience for me as an area member of Parliament that somebody can even allege that I went there to cause chaos. And yet I am elected by the people to represent them. And that's exactly what I was doing when the community called me, including the chief of the area, that there was a problem in school. And when I responded to that, that's exactly what I did. And I want to say categorically, I will go deeper into this matter until it is resolved.
Mheshimiwa Wasele, welcome to KTN Live right now, your KTN News. You are here in solidarity with the Mheshimiwa. I'm sure many people are reading politics, too much politics about what happened. What is your take on what is happening? Probably in Ahero, of course, you've been chatting all along and you know what is happening there.
Ahero Girls is part of our best schools in Nyanza. So as leaders, we had to be concerned when students are sent out without even any action warranting the sending of the students out. What I would like the public to know, and what we are going to request the Committee on Education, Parliamentary Committee on Education to interrogate. One is what Matiang'i banned any activities in third term in high schools. So what is the entire team of DCC and the police who are doing in a learning institution past 6 p.m. up to 8 p.m. when the MP responded to chaotic scenario is what we want to establish. Second to that, we are in third term. Even if transfers were to be effected, what merited a transfer when students are being prepared for examinations in third term? The Member of Parliament, of course, as a key stakeholder, was mandated to respond and find out what is happening. But the situation turned ugly, and the way he was manhandled tells us that there must have been certain things happening in Ahero Girls that must come to light. for all the stakeholders.
Yeah, thank you very much. Speaking to Mheshimiwa Osele and Mheshimiwa Fred Outa, Akisa Wandera, he was released this morning, actually released this morning after spending a night in police custody. It was a cash bail of 100,000 shillings. Back to you in studio, Akisa.
Rashid, thank you very much. Rashid Ronald joining us from Kisumu, speaking to Member of Parliament Fred Outa and, of course, Osele as well. We'll be bringing you more details on that development. Now, the National Assembly's Committee of Defense and that of the National Security have this morning held a joint press conference of the escalating violence in South Sudan. The chairman of the committees, Asman Kamama and Dungu Githinje, say Kenya will not sit and watch as leaders in South Sudan make reckless statements that call for war between warring factions.
We must also look at sanctions targeted at those people who are involved in the fighting, who are involved in the financing, who are involved in this ethnic killings in their country. And many of those people are living in Kenya. Many of those people are living in Addis. Many of those people are living in Khartoum. And this must end immediately. We have consulted with my colleague, Honorable Kamama, and we are looking at bringing a motion jointly to the National Assembly to ensure that sanctions are targeted against those who are perpetrating warlike activities, genocide and killing, and they may no longer enjoy having their assets in our country and their children studying in our schools.
We want fairness to all the people of Southern Sudan. So the President Salva Kiir should ensure that all the people, whether they're in Jonglei, whether they're in the Unity State, whether they're in all the southern side, all of them should be treated fairly, so that they're also not encouraged to really feel that they are being discriminated against. So we need that fairness. Lastly, we want the people of Southern Sudan to ensure that the way forward is not the way of becoming a refugee or a soldier. Because from 1983, in Southern Sudan, people are either in the bush as soldiers, even child soldiers, or they're refugees in Kenya or in Uganda, or also in Ethiopia. So that life, they must change from that life and ensure that they go back and build their country.
All right, let's now speak to our senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo, who covered that particular press briefing on more details. A very good afternoon to you, Patrick. Many thanks for joining us here on NewsDesk. Now, the war or whatever has been happening in South Sudan has been ongoing for a very long time now. Why are these leaders making such statements now?
Thank you, Akisa. Indeed, remember, South Sudan is a very new country, both globally and in the continent. But after this, it did declare its independence. It's gone back to war. Remember, in August last year, we had an agreement where then first Vice President Riek Machar was to return to Juba and craft up a government of national unity together with President Salva Kiir. But it appears that implementing that August 2015 agreement has been a challenge to both leaders in the South Sudan. That's why we saw almost 3 months ago, the country again broke into war, where at least Riek Machar forces did engage with the SPLM soldiers, the government soldiers in Juba, and we saw then Riek Machar ran to safety and as he consolidated his forces. So members of parliament, the National Assembly's National Security, together with its Defense Committee, they've issued a warning. They want the South Sudanese leaders to walk the talk and ensure the peace deal is cemented and residents, citizens of South Sudan live in peace, because they say we cannot continue losing lives in that new state after they agreed to the comprehensive peace agreement and agreed to have a new state in place. And now they're warning that should the leaders in South Sudan stop, not continue in the warfare or making warlike statements, engaging each other in war, then they are saying that they've threatened to come up with a motion resolution which will ask the government to freeze assets of those leaders in South Sudan who will be seen to be promoting warlike activities in South Sudan. Remember, most of these Southern Sudan leaders, most of them are living in Kenya, and especially in Nairobi, and most of these people live in the leafy suburbs of the country, of the city, where they are enjoying luxury, living in peace, whereas their citizens are suffering war and hunger in their country. So they are threatening. They want leaders to walk the talk, and if not, then sanctions, punitive sanctions, will be put in place. Remember, we also have the UN Security Council did recommend an additional 4,000 troops to be peacekeepers to be sent to Juba and ensure there's peace in that country. But recently, the other day, we saw at least there was some communication from the outgoing UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon that trying to accuse the South Sudan government of trying to undermine the UN security resolution. It's like to go in Juba, or they want to monitor. They want the Southern Sudanese troops to go with the UN peacekeepers wherever they are making checks in the country. But then the UN peacekeepers are in South Sudan specifically to ensure there is peace and civilians are protected against those abuse and war. That's why there is that concern on that particular area. There's also concern they want to put at least an arms embargo on South Sudan, because they think the proliferation of arms in South Sudan is escalating the war. But then again, on this score of arms, an arms embargo, the UN Security Council is yet to agree on that embargo issue. But then we see there are reports, media reports, that Russia is opposed to putting an arms embargo on South Sudan. Akisa?
Patrick, thank you very much for that update. That is a senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo, with updates on the press briefing addressed by Asman Kamama and Ndongo Gedenje, the heads of the Committees of National Security and Foreign Affairs.
I strongly believe that through this visit, cooperative and collaborative partnership will be cemented to take our relations to higher pedestal. Our two countries have agreed to prioritize economic cooperation using bilateral instruments, as well as the tripartite free trade area between SADC, the COMESA, and Eastern African Community.
Africa indeed is one, and we have a great opportunity to really open it up by accepting that we are one people at the end of the day. We have one destiny at the end of the day, and we can only achieve it by working together.
Now, residents of the Chesagon area along West Pokot and Elgeyo Marakwet counties are living in fear following a series of cross-border attacks that has hit the area. Local say criminals between the Pokot and the Marakwet communities have caused havoc in the area, and as they have also affected innocent people, and they're stealing cattle from innocent residents. Area Chief Julius Matala said locals are forced to live in caves as they fear suspected attacks by the militia. Matala said road network that connects the two counties has been cut, with mango farmers in the area counting heavy losses since they cannot transport their farm produce to markets. Residents of Chesagon have been victims of insecurity between Baringo and the Marakwet counties, with the latest the latest attack being greatly affecting socio-economic activities in the area.
Ya inchi. Na pia tumesema sisi wenyewe tumeanza kuelewana kwamba lazima hao watoto tuwaite, na kama kuna mali ya Marakwet ambayo watu wa Pokot walichukua lazima warudishwe.
Leo imeadhiri hii location kabisa. Watu kabisa wameweza kubabaika sana. Mababaiko sana ni kwamba pengine Marakwet watafahamia wao, kwa sababu hapa ni mpaka tunapakana na Marakwet. Alafu walistuka sana sababu Marakwet waliweza kukataza watu wao kufuka eneo la Cheptule kukuja market ile ya Chesagon. Wakati walipokataza hivyo, sasa ikawa kwamba watu wakapata kushtuka kwamba vile sasa wafuki ni kama sasa wako wanajipanga kutaka kufanya kitendo.